None of this explains why this man, Richard Jones, who had explosives...
The public were further confused when the BBC's Conspiracy Files programme interviewed Mr. Jones and never even asked about his contradictory statements. Obviously the BBC were more concerned about demonising the 7/7 ripple effect theories than getting to the truth of the provably false theory put out by the government. With no reliable witness testimony and no CCTV footage, what evidence is there that Hussein carried out the attack? It seems at every crucial point the narrative simply assumes what happened next. When CCTV is unclear, there is no explanation as to how they determined it to be the bombers. When CCTV is clear, there is no timestamp and no secondary evidence to prove what time it was. Hussein's parents have not been given any evidence of his involvement beyond what the public have seen. And as we've demonstrated so far, there virtually isn't any. What the narrative claims and suggests about the movements of the men that day might well be true, but they've done a horrendous job of backing up those claims with coherent evidence. Half of what they say can't be verified, and the other half contradicts the alleged evidence they've put forward. The messed up train times and the inconclusive CCTV only scratches the surface of what is wrong with the 7/7 investigation, or lack thereof. Stories soon emerged of several bombs being found in the vehicles at Luton Station. The narrative claims the car thought to be Lindsay's was towed away, but there is no clear story on why this happened. The remaining vehicle, thought to be hired by Tanweer, therefore must be the car where the explosives and a handgun were found, although the narrative doesn't even make this clear. It says one car contained explosive devices of a different and smaller kind from those in the rucksacks, but this is not specific. It then says clearly, in the Micra were other items consistent with the use of explosives. So if they're clear what was in the Micra, why not about where the explosives were found, if the Micra was the only car there? It then says a 9mm handgun was found in Lindsay's Brava, but previously they said the Brava wasn't there. It's unsure where the narrative got the information about the cars. Maybe it was from the media, which was extremely inconsistent. The Sydney Morning Herald said there were 9 bombs in Lindsay's car, the one not there. Then ABC News reported 12 bombs and 4 detonators. Then it jumped to 16. The Daily Mail said 9 bombs were found in the Micra. Then it was only components of bombs and everything else but the kitchen sink. With all the contradictions and lack of visual evidence, we still can't be sure what cars were involved, let alone how the alleged bombers were linked to those cars, nor where and when those cars were found. Therefore, with the media playing number games, how can we be sure what on earth was actually discovered? Despite the devastation caused, the official narrative claims the bombers appeared to use homemade explosives that they cooked up in a flat in Leeds. The report calls this a bomb factory, although they allegedly used a regular bathtub to mix the ingredients, which were all readily available from the high street and not expensive. The rest of the chapter is extremely vague, makes no reference to what the substances actually were, and claims expert examination continues. If they only appeared to use homemade bombs and expert examination continues, why does it then go on to say, no great expertise is required to assemble a device of this kind? What kind of device? To put it bluntly, the writer of the report obviously did not have full information about the bombs. So A, why include something that would just confuse people? And B, why release a report when expert examination was still ongoing? It says Tanweer, Khan and Hussein were linked by DNA to the flat, but then says forensic analysis continues. What was the result of this analysis? Is it still ongoing? Regardless of what was found in this supposed bomb factory, the real evidence was immediately discovered in the wreckages where the explosions took place, and then released to the media. Explosives experts, forensic scientists, intelligence officials and police went on record to the press and testified that the bombs used were military, or at least high-grade explosives, not homemade using store-bought products. Precise methodology is used which leaves no margin for error. As stated by explosives expert James Crippen in the San Francisco Chronicle, our biggest advantage is that there is no explosive device that is completely destroyed except for a nuclear bomb. It would therefore be extremely difficult to get a false reading on what substances were used. Forensics gather swabbings of explosive residue from surfaces at the scene. The swabbing samples are then run through explosive detection devices. This, Crippen said, gives you a quick and dirty of what explosives it might be: TNT, Semtex, plastic explosive or dynamite. On July 12th, leading British explosives expert Professor Hans Michaels said the perpetrators acquired either military or high-quality commercial explosives, possibly from Eastern Europe. The power of the explosions, he said, pointed to the use of high-level explosive material. Ian Blair, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner leading the investigation into the bombings, said the bombs certainly were not homemade. And according to French anti-terrorism Chief Superintendent Christophe Chabod, who was assisting Scotland Yard, the bombs were of military origin, and they were either obtained by trafficking, for example in the Balkans, or they had someone on the inside of the military establishment. Forensic scientists informed the Times that traces of military plastic explosive, more deadly and efficient than commercial varieties, are understood to have been found in the debris. According to one scientist, homemade explosives can be made, but not of the design and sophistication of these devices. The bomb maker has highly developed skill. The evidence that high-grade explosives, almost certainly military, were used was so conclusive that a Europe-wide investigation began to track down the source. Experts believe the bombs came from terrorists in the Balkans, left over from the Balkan Wars. A revelation that was quickly forgotten by the media was that 8 hours after the attacks, intelligence officials flew to the Serbian capital with samples of the explosives to track down their supplier. On the same day, CIA, MI5 and MI6 held a secret meeting in North Africa, a known hotspot for terrorist weapon smuggling. A leaked document from Washington's International Strategic Studies Association reported that Semtex plastic explosive was used, which originated from a Bosnian jihadist support network. The authorities had a clear knowledge of what type of explosive was used within 24 hours, if not just a few hours after the attacks, by going through the wreckage. This is why initial reports were certain that high-grade explosives were used, and why officers could confidently fly to Serbia to investigate their link to the Balkans. So why did reports start coming out claiming the explosives were homemade? Why did the story change so significantly? Were the intelligence agencies trying to hide a link to the Balkans? We'll get to it further on in the series, but Britain and America funded jihadists in the region to aid the fight against Slobodan Milosevic. If this bomb has links to those operations, the establishment would probably not want the truth to come out.